for me, I've always aspired just to coach at the highest levels that are possible in Canada. And for us, that's the CFL. Right now, I'm at the university level. And I mean, one of the things that I definitely notice is that there are coaches that look like me, but it's definitely far from being the majority. Um, and so I always want to try and climb the ranks myself so that hopefully the younger generation is going to be able to look at me and say, well, if he can be there, then, I can get there
We
too.
move the change. You hear what I'm saying? Real players can relate because they the ones that was playing. Be great. Just wait. We be really in the field. Now we really on the mic, speaking truly how we feel. For real, screaming hut one, hut two. Tell me what you gon' do. Coming off that
Pleasure to have you back on Move the Chains. I am your host, Matt Baker. Move the Chains, as always, a presentation of Doman Building Materials and RBC. And it is our great pleasure for this episode to welcome in Khaalid Hicks, currently the defensive backs coach at McGill, and will be joining the Lions in training camp as part of the CFL's diversity in football program. Those candidates, those team participants announced in the last week or so. So Khaalid getting ready to move west for a couple of weeks and come to Kamloops, and we appreciate you making time here today, sir.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Let's just start with your appointment in itself. I mean, the last couple of years, the league has been really good. Women in football. We've got a feature on Jay Starecki on our website, bclions.com. The diversity program, a major pillar of the brand now. Just your thoughts on that, Khaalid, and what encouraged you to apply for a spot?
Well, I mean, I think the program is something that's really great. I think it gives people of diverse backgrounds an opportunity to get a taste of the league, and also sort of in a certain sense to measure themselves against what it is that's required either to be a coach or strength and conditioning coach at that level. So for me, I've always aspired just to coach at the highest levels that are possible in Canada. And for us, that's the CFL. Right now, I'm at the university level. And I mean, one of the things that I definitely notice is that there are coaches that look like me, but it's definitely far from being the majority. And so I always want to try and climb the ranks myself so that hopefully the younger generation is going to be able to look at me and say, well, if he can be there, then, I can get there too. And so just in terms of what encouraged me to apply, last year I managed to get a little taste of a CFL training camp with the Montreal Alouettes when we had Baron Miles and Kahari Jones. And that for me in itself was also just a learning experience, but also an inspiring experience to again see two people that looked like me in leadership roles with the Montreal Alouettes. And at the same time, the Montreal Carabins, well, then with the Montreal Carabins, they had Vladimir Charmant, who was their defensive line coach, and he was the participant in the program last season with the Edmonton Elks. And just in speaking with him and finding out, what he learned and how much that sort of changed his perspective and his view on coaching and how to do things, that really inspired me. And I said to myself, I have to give it a shot. I have to see if I can manage to earn a spot.
The CFL was kind of ahead of the curve on, whether it was welcoming in black quarterbacks, from eras gone by that wouldn't have otherwise gotten a shot down south. Black coaches, plenty of black assistant coaches have gotten opportunities. Where do you stand, Khaalid, on diversity in the CFL as a whole? Because we here in BC, I think there was one year where we were the only team in pro football where we had 3 black coordinators. One of them was Kahari Jones, along with Mark Washington and Marcelo Simmons. But just your overall thoughts on the opportunities that have come available for everybody in our great league.
I think it's great. I think the CFL, like you said, is way ahead of some of the other leagues. When I look at the CFL and when I see the 9 teams and I see that there's more than one black head coach, and I see that there are black coordinators and that there are black assistants on the sidelines, for me, that's something that's inspiring. So I definitely think that the CFL has made significant advancements.
Kahari and Baron Miles, you mentioned working with there in Montreal. What was it like working with those guys, and what did you learn along the way? 2 pretty solid fellas, I will say.
Oh, it was great. I think from what I got to see from Kahari, it was really poise and composure. Just when we had staff meetings, when I saw him on the field, got along well with the players, but just in meetings, I saw a level of composure and control. It just sort of, it took me aback. I was taken aback a little bit because I wasn't too sure what to expect. I've never been in the room with him before. But that really marked me. And then I worked really closely with Baron. Got to shadow him, and I mean that was just a great experience. The football knowledge, the sort of understanding the players that we're dealing with, the way to teach it, the way to sort of, I guess in a sense, teach the players what is expected and let them, in a sense, feel it out on the field and sort of coach them up to understand, well, hey, in this situation, based on what you saw, you should have done this, or did you see that? Yeah, you saw that. That's great. I mean, great experience with those two.
So give our fans and listeners, viewers, a sense of what your day-to-day will be like in Lions camp. I understand you're going to be working more with Tristan Sandu and the athletic therapists.
Yeah. So from what I understand, it's supposed to be on the strength and conditioning rehab side. That might involve working in the clinic. It might involve working with the pool. There's going to be something involved in practice. I'm not exactly sure what the specific details of that are going to be, but it's really going to be working directly with the players.
That's awesome. So are you kind of the mind that anywhere you can contribute, stand out, be a sponge? Has that kind of always been a motto of yours, Khaalid?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just in terms of coaching, in terms of the organizations, I mean, on defense, I've coached at all three positions because it's sort of, hey, what does the team need and what can I do? I like to think that I'm really a student of knowledge. So I like to just like you said, be a sponge, observe, find out what the needs are, just learn from people. And then try and adapt my style based on what's required. And for me, I mean, the BC Lions are giving me this opportunity, and I think it's a tremendous opportunity, and I really want to be able to contribute to that. So if whatever is needed of me that I can lend my skill set to, that's going to help BC prepare for the coming season, I mean, I'm all for it.
You mentioned Kahari and Baron a couple minutes ago. Go back maybe to when you were a bit younger. Was there any minority coaches or any minority people in sports that you looked up to when you were wanting to pursue this career?
Not necessarily in football, but I mean, definitely. So for me, I mean, growing up in Montreal, there was George Larac because he was the Black player on the Montreal Canadiens. So there was George Larac. I remember one of the books my father made me read was Jackie Robinson's autobiography, and so just sort of Jackie's struggles and what he went through and what he had to go through in order to break barriers and be that first person. That's something that's stood out for me. Another big name for me was just Warren Moon and sort of what he's accomplished over the course of his career, both in the NFL and in the CFL. So yeah.
Yeah, Warren Moon, one of those quarterbacks again who, he was booed at the University of Washington because he beaten out a local white kid for the job, and they had to come up to Edmonton to prove his stardom. And yeah, and I even noticed the Jackie Robinson Day was over the weekend, I think, in Major League Baseball, where they had every player on every team wore the number 42. Yep. Without a name bar. When you see that and how big that's become, how special do you view that, Khaalid?
Well, I mean, I think it's tremendous. I really do. I think it's tremendous because it's sort of what he's done has left that legacy on professional baseball in the sense that it's now become widespread. And I mean, it's not easy to make the sacrifices that he made and to endure what he's endured. But we can clearly see that it was worth it in the end, and it had an effect.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. And you see a lot of the ballparks you go to have the number 42 for him retired. I know going to a lot of games in Seattle, they have that on display at T-Mobile Park. So that's interesting. What's the end goal for you, Khaalid, in football?
Oh, Um, I mean, I want to be able to contribute at a high level. So whether that be coordinating in youth sports or coaching at the CFL level, whether that be that could be strength and conditioning at the CFL level. I see myself as I want to be the best, right? So for me to be the best, that means to be at the highest level, to be up there and to be able to measure yourself with the best. And but also to be able to be in a position that you can learn from the very best. Because I mean, if I'm not amongst the best, then it's going to be difficult for me to learn from them and to eventually meet their level and then to surpass them after that.
Ever been to Kamloops before? Pretty awesome training camp site, I'm sure you've been told.
Yeah, I've been told. I have not been to Kamloops. Last year we spent 10 days in Kelowna with the
Mm.
Football Canada Cup, and that amazing, amazing. So from what I understand, Kamloops might be similar, if not even nicer. I'm really looking forward to it. The weather, the mountains. Yeah, yeah, I can't wait.
Pretty good place to be for a few weeks when you're. I don't have to tell you about the football grind. It's long, it's intense, but being in a spot like that makes it all that more enjoyable. Canada Cup. I mean, what was your involvement there? Been involved with Team Canada for a few years. What does that entail?
So Canada Cup, I was there with Team Quebec as the linebackers coach. So basically we go through the province. This was the under 18 team, and it's a long process. It starts about in March, and we go through and we try and select the best 40 football players that we have, and that we have in the province of Quebec under the age of 18, well, between the ages I guess 16 and 18. And we build a team and we go and we compete against the other provinces to see who's the best.
That's awesome. How'd you guys fare that year?
We finished with the bronze, so for us that's a little disappointing because we're going there and hoping for gold. But I'm really proud of the team and how we bounced back after that loss to Alberta, to then come back and win that bronze medal, especially considering that, when we got on the plane, the goal was we're going there to win gold, and then you get that little setback. But it's nice to see the resilience to say, okay, well, you know what, it might not be gold, but we're not going to walk away empty-handed. And I'm really proud of the players and of the coaches that we were able to put that together and come away with a bronze medal.
Gives them motivation to make the next step the next year, just like every levels of football. Hey, lastly here, kind of bring it full circle. So you mentioned, what was the process like once you applied? Was it Tristan you were talking to, or what did you learn about the organization here in the process before you got chosen, Khaalid?
Yeah, so it's kind of a nerve-wracking process, because you have to go, you get your letters of recommendation and you build your CV and your cover letter, and then you make a video sort of explaining yourself, and then it's sent off, and you're just waiting for a call. You may get one, you may not get one. And I mean, I was really fortunate. I was just coming out of a workout session with the guys at McGill, and I saw my phone ringing, and I saw British Columbia, and I went, oh. And so it was Tristan on the phone, and he said, hey, listen, we'd be interested to have you down to work with the team. We're looking at strength and conditioning, rehab. And I mean, I was all for it. I've never thought of the strength and conditioning side. I'm interested to see what it's going to be like at the training camp portion, especially with, the rookies coming in and a lot of the guys who may not necessarily be in the area coming in. And so I'm really looking forward to see what that's going to be about.
Yeah, wait till you get there and you see all the prospects, you see all the players. As you've been to football camps before. It really is quite the scene to be there on day one of many, as the squad looks to obtain their goals for this season. Listen, Khaalid, this was fun getting to know you. We look forward to meeting you in Kamloops. We'll be there for the full pull as well. And congratulations. Look forward to having you on board here for a few weeks.
Thank you. I look forward to getting to work in Kamloops.
Khaalid Hicks on Move the Chains, presented by Doman Building Materials and RBC.
What up, RP? Let's turn it up one time. You did. We move the change. You hear what I'm saying? Real players can relate, cause they the ones that was playing. Be great. Just wait. We be really in the field. Now we really on the mic, speaking truly how we feel. For real, screaming hut one, hut two. Tell me what you gon' do. Coming off that edge, only way to stop is hold you. Never let the gatekeepers control you. Once you lose your voice, now they definitely know they own you. But not I. Rob Phillips coming so fly. Pick 6 on the way when that ball's in the sky. They say time is money, and I wonder why. Now I know that's a goddamn lie. Let's go. Come and get game from the chains. Everybody love it when you the change. Haters hate to see me really do my thing. Move the chains, move the chains. Let's go. Move the chains. The #1 podcast. Move the chains. Do my thing. Getting this dough, you know how it go. Grab a seat and tune in, then tell me what you know. Back when TIP said, get it on the flow. RP was on BC, putting on a show. For show, screaming touchdown, touchdown. Everything you want now. Fans be the chain gang, game every month now. Don't even try to front now. These new dudes be something like my son now. Come on now. I'm better than ever. The game that we speak gotta be clever. Ball hard no matter the weather. I cheese for the picks while I'm counting this cheddar. On my mama, boy, I never will let her. But so you know I gotta get up and run just to come and get game from the chains. Everybody love it when you the chains. Haters hate to see me really do my thing. Move the chains, move the chains. Let's go. Move the chains. The #1 podcast. Move the chains, do my thing. Come and get game from the chains. Everybody love it when you the chains. Haters hate to see me really do my thing. Move the chains, move the chains. Let's go. Move the chains. The #1 podcast. Move the chains, do my thing.